Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman's self. The part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Okay, not quite sure what just happened, but we're going to keep going, talking about fantasizing about another man when you're married to yourself. And so here's the thing about fantasy. Here's the thing about the stories that women make. What I notice, the pattern I've noticed in all the years that I've been observing this, the pattern that I've noticed is that women who have a fantasy person that was somebody that is not their husband, so married women who have a fantasy person that they see in real life, like their barista or the person at school drop-off or a person they went to high school with or college with or a person that they work with or is in their church community. When they have a person that they've identified, oh, I'm glad, Jessie, thank you. When they have a person they've identified with and have an emotional connection to, what I've found happens is the fantasy takes on this quiet seed. And like any kind of fantasy, it is born from a sense of lack, a sense of, I don't have something that I need. And so what this tells us is that when you've projected that need onto somebody else, not your husband, or not asking yourself to notice it and fulfill it for yourself, but when you've projected that onto somebody else, the problem that happens is that you create something that isn't real as a way to help you feel better. Okay? So if there is a person that you have a fantasy about being with, or you have a fleeting thought, like, I bet if I was married to James, let's make up James, my life would be better because I can see that James would care about me. He would look after the kids better. He would probably take me on great holidays. He'd make me a cup of coffee in bed every morning. This is James in a fantasy space, not James as an actual human person that I know very well. Yeah? And so the clue here is that you're fantasizing about somebody else, which means that you're not literally sharing a life with them. Because if you're literally sharing a life with somebody, even when it's masterful, it's still everyday life, which has its routine, its wonderful sense of normalcy. It has the requirements that are required to keep a job or a life or a family or a car going. And that isn't so fun. Let's just say it. It's not so fun. And that's why we like holidays. That's why we like buying new clothes or decorating our house. That's why we like that stuff, because it's fresh and new and sparkly and shiny. And humans really like that. I like that. Humans like that. So it's totally okay. No judgment. But what we're really talking about tonight is when the object of your attention is another person, not a new painting or a crystal or a decoration or a pair of earrings. And the problem then is that you start to think that person could make my life so much better. And the problem with that, my loves, is that you're outsourcing your own control, your own infinite ability to influence and lead to somebody that you're not in a relationship with. And what does that do over a long period of time? It decreases your resourcefulness. It decreases your ability to take stock of your marriage and say, this is working and this isn't working. This isn't okay and this is okay. But I'm not going to do anything about it because I kind of have given up. And so I'm going to go over here and think about what it would be like to be looked after by somebody else. And you see the innate sense of apathy that comes with fantasy. It's about somebody else will rescue me instead of me having to do the work. And so one of the core threads of women that I've worked with that have talked to me about this, and let me tell you, there are so many, and that's important for you to know, because if you are one, you need to know you are part of many. And it's okay. So the thread, though, that I find, the key thread that everything boils down to with this fantasy man, the thread is this sense of not being strong enough. It's a bit Disney princessy. And I mean that with such love and respect to the women that I work with, but it is about being taken care of. It is about being swept off my feet and being noticed and appreciated and loved and supported. And it is often very much around sexual need fulfillment and intimacy. And if you put all of those in an umbrella and you have a think about your marriage, you would kind of get the sense that those things are the things that make a marriage amazing, aren't they? They're the things that make a life amazing. And so isn't it understandable that if those things aren't in your life, you'll start to find them in somebody else and imagine yourself being with that person so you can get it? It's understandable. You can see how you can get from here to here. But here's the thing. Asking somebody else to gift those things to you without you doing the leadership work that's required to stand for what you want and to model what you want is not going to work for you. It's not going to work for you because you can't not do the work. You can't just order in a new guy to come in and fix it all for you. It doesn't work like that. You'll order in a guy who looks like he's something different. But once he realizes that you're not leading yourself, he either A, won't be attracted to you anymore. And that's generally what happens with affairs. Do you know that? Affairs have like a 2 or 4% conversion rate to a long-term relationship. Can you believe it? So small. And do you know why? Fantasy. It's not real life. And so here's the thing. I want you to know that if you're in the space of using fantasy to cope with your everyday life, we need to talk, my loves, because you're not engaging in your superpowers. And your pain is your superpower. And instead, your pain, you're escaping from into fantasy. Did you hear that? That's really important. Let me say it again. If you are fantasizing about somebody else and your own marriage is right there and needs you, then you're engaging in fantasy to avoid doing the work. I want you to realize that you have the innate power that you need. You just haven't unlocked it or tapped into it or directed it in the right way to create what it is you want. Yes, my love, Megan, or Megan. I've been a bit sick. Sorry, sweetheart. The grass is not greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. But the idea of using fantasy to escape from watering your grass or to escape from doing the work is going to lead you into a place where your marriage continues its decline. So remember what we say, that it takes 6 years of crisis or conflict or unresolved conflict before a couple will seek help. 6 years. 6 years is a really long time to live a life that is not wonderful, to live a life where you're using fantasy to escape from it, to live a life where you're missing your best friend because you married that person to have a wonderful life, and here you are not having a wonderful life. And so I want you to see fantasy for what fantasy is, which is a crutch to help you avoid doing the work. Do I want you to do the work? Yes! Yes, I do. I want you to do the work. I want you to do the work to realize that if you show up differently, your power, your connection, your calmness, your kindness changes everything. You can't do it for a day, though. A day doesn't change anything. You can't do it for a week. A week doesn't change anything. You've got to commit to it. And do you know the difference between fantasizing about someone else saving you versus dialing in a long-term change? Is everything. And this is essentially what we're talking about, my loves. We are talking about, don't fantasize about the life that you want. Be the person who does the work, the internal work, the external work, to claim and create the life you want. I'm going to future pace you for a minute. I want you to think about 20 years from now, and you've got a child who is getting married. Maybe it's 10 years from now. And I want you to think about the speeches after the wedding and that celebration time. Everyone's having some food, tap, 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 lights dim, got a microphone. And I want you to think about what your child would say about how you modeled your marriage to them. Would they say nothing? So they didn't kind of talk about something? Would they say, thank you, I can see how to create a marriage that's amazing. I know daily what it takes. I know how to resolve conflicts. I know how to talk about difficult conversations like finances or infertility or differences in how we clean and look after the house. Like, I feel prepared for what's coming. And I know that I can't know everything because I'm young, but I also have a framework that I learned from you. Would they say, thank you, Mum? Thank you, Dad, for showing me what it can be. I want to have a life and a marriage that looks like yours. That, my loves, is a masterful marriage that has children in it that are securely attached, that are deeply connected, that have learnt because of your modeling what a great marriage is. Is that what your children would say at their marriage? Or would they look at your marriage and kind of silently avoid it? Or would it be quietly talked about as a joke? Which one do you want, my darlings? Let me tell you that if they're avoiding talking about it, or that they're making quiet jokes about it and the jokes aren't that kind, it's probably one that's sitting in the disaster end, where right now you have the opportunity to do it differently. And this is what I want for you. I want you to future pace yourself. See where you're going to take your family in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, if you don't do the work. Do you see? You are sitting right now at this junction of opportunity to have a different life, not to fantasize about somebody else coming in and saving you. That doesn't happen. This is not a Disney movie. You are your own superhero. You are your own best friend. What you need is to get really connected with what's important to you. What you need is to get really clear on what's not working and what it is you need to do differently. And then, my darlings, all you have to do every day is choose and show up in that space. And that is how you get a different life. So if you are someone who is exiting your own life by fantasizing about another man, and remember, we set this up, that it's not about fantasizing about somebody where you have sexted or texted or even left any kind of external trail. We're talking about that internal kind of eye on somebody. which just shows that you're innately out of balance in your own life, where you're feeling like you're not powerful, you're not strong, you want someone to come and love you better. And I say to you, my darlings, we can love you better, and I can teach you how to love yourself better, and I can also teach you how to bring your family back together and to have that masterful connected marriage with your beautiful husband. You don't need to outsource it to some man in the community or from high school that you've had your eye on all these years as a backup plan should this fail. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. I love you all so much. I'm going to ask our beautiful Leilani to put the link in now to my masterclass. So if you haven't watched that, watch it. It will tell you 5 steps that we use to get reconnected in a marriage. Super, super focused. I want you to have that. And if you're really serious about getting into your wise woman power and really starting to lead your marriage from a different space, from having access to do it differently, so you're sick and tired of fantasy and you look at your reality and you're like, it has to change, and you're ready to change it, I want you to book a call with us. Leilani will put a booking link in. It's a free call. It's designed to get you super clear. What's not working? Where do you want it to get to? And then I will share with you how we're going to do that. We'll get you super clear. My darlings, are there any questions? I'm having a look in the comments very quickly before we wrap this up, but I can't see any. What I want for you very much to have and to know is that you can have the life that you want, but there's no one coming to save you. Actually, I'm sort of coming to save you, but nobody else is coming to save you. Oh, I shouldn't make myself laugh because I'm coughing. I'm not coming to save you, of course, but I'm right here to help if I can help. This is my jam. This is my life's work. This is the only work that I do. And I really, truly believe in my mission, which is to reconnect women to their power and to show them that they can lead their life in a way that is congruent with themselves, where they can speak up and have a voice, where they can stay calm, connected, and kind, and they can have an amazing marriage. This is my whole purpose in life, and that is why I'll be here doing this until I'm 95. Maybe 96. All right, my darlings, it's time for me to go. I love all of you. I hope all of you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next Monday night for our next Facebook Live. Much love to all of you. See you, sweethearts.